is also related to fear, but came from a different source. And I decided I wanted to put it in because, as I said, the person I'm putting on the spot who was talking about, yeah, I think you had said like he like it was all different people in your lives, parents and siblings and partners and whatnot. And you were worried about all these different things that they would think. And so it reminded me about the stakeholder line. And I used to do this every time I gave someone a new role at work. And someone else in the group is taking a new role or is adding on a new role. So that's the other reason that this made me think about that was about every time you take on a new role, I love to do the stakeholder line. Now, it sounds mean in some ways because you want to believe that everybody is supportive of you and everybody has your back. And let's just be honest with ourselves, it's just not true. And I remember, and so on my stakeholder line, I always say super simple. At one end is the person who wants me to succeed the most. The green person, I hope, is you. So I hope you want you to succeed the most. Unless you're self-sabotaging, that's a different discussion. At the right end is the person who wants you to fail the most. Who knows why? I don't know why this guy wants you to fail, but there's a reason and there's a person, and it's either jealousy or it's someone who didn't get the promotion that you got, but there is always that person. Maybe they're not all the way at the right. Maybe they're a little bit shy of being just, but it doesn't matter. They don't have to be like personally attacking you. They don't have to be undermining you. But if they really want you to fail, it's going to be subtle. Their lack of support can actually sabotage and undermine you. So it's really good to know. It's really good to know and how we manage those people. And I've made a lot of mistakes. We may talk about this at another time, but I've made a lot of mistakes in how I've managed those types. I have given them too much latitude and too much power. I've also not given them enough. And so I figured out how to find that happy balance. But again, that's for a different day. But once you line up all these people on your who wants me to succeed the most line, then you start to realize, okay, if I have a fear associated with this person, where are they on my line? Because then that dictates how you're going to interface with them. If they're towards the left side, then you can say, listen, this is something that I feel really passionately about and something that I want to do. I want to quit my job, right? I really want to do that. How do you feel about that? Because you could say, oh, I'm worried that my parents will think this, or I'm worried that my brother will say this, right? But if they're on your side, having that conversation with them can be one way to neutralize the fears. The other thing I learned about the stakeholder line is I actually flipped it, and I do it for other people, that I'm always checking to say, am I focused on this person's success, right? It's always really easy for me to say, okay, my boss, right? My boss, I want him to be successful. I always had he bosses. I want him to be successful because if he's successful, then I'm successful. If he looks good, I look good. Easy one. Now, what about my peers, right? And so I remember one time a woman had taken over for me, and I hadn't left the department, and I had moved to be responsible. They wanted her to still like dotted line to me, and I said that wasn't really good for her to report to me because I had her job. But I'll be available. I'll mentor her. I'm still in the organization. I'm just in a different role. And she was constantly, she was treating me like I was all the way on the right side, that I was this person who wanted her to fail. What I didn't realize is there were a lot of people who were saying to her, well, Elizabeth does it this way, and Elizabeth this. I had done a really good job at my job, right? And she was taking over big shoes to fill, all of that. And she had a little bit of a smaller job too, because we had taken away some things that actually I had grown over the years. That was just really too big to step into. So I thought she was going to be able to do the job really well, but other people were making it difficult for her. So I wrote this line for her. I drew this line for her in my office. I said, can we just for a moment think about your stakeholder line? And I drew the line and I put her and I said, here's you all the way on the left. You want to be successful. Guess who's right next to you? Me. And the reason I'm right next to you is because I don't want this job back. I picked you to do this job. I'm senior enough and I've achieved enough on my own that I don't need you to fail for people to think that I'm good, right? Do you know that happens sometimes when you take over for someone? They're secretly hoping that you'll do poorly at the job because then it makes them look like, see how amazing I was? You replaced me with him or her and they're not as good as I was. So I called it head on to her and I said, I honestly don't need you to fail for it won't help me. It will hurt me. So I am right next to you on the line. Now, should we think about all the other people in the population that we interface with every day? Let's plot them on the line and let's figure out which ones want you to be successful or not. I'll be honest with you, it didn't work as well as I had hoped. A lot of that had to do with her. A lot of it had to do with how many people were unfortunately at the failure end of it. So it didn't work out the best scenario. She actually did fail. So unfortunately, because I actually wanted her to succeed. So that was really unfortunate. But I have to be honest with you. So I'll tell you, but I felt that the exercise, and I had been using, this is now almost 15 years ago. I have been using it ever since, to tell people how to think.